The U.S. government has just issued sanctions against Iranian and Russian entities for attempting to interfere in the U.S. 2024 election. Kind of a wild thing to drop New Year's Eve, but here we are. This is the press release directly from the Treasury, who basically determines sanctions. And there's basically three main parts to these sanctions. Number one, they make reference to a statement that was released in the summer of 2024, where the U.S. government basically accused the government of Iran of using social engineering and other efforts to gain access to individuals with direct access to the presidential campaigns of both parties. Basically, they accused Iran of hacking, or at least attempting to hack, various campaign and electoral officials, including thefts and disclosures of private information in order to influence the U.S. electoral process. Here, they state that they basically identified multiple entities who compromised several accounts of officials and advisors of a 2024 presidential campaign. They don't specify which one. They also identify a subsidiary of the IRGC, which is Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and basically just say that since at least 2023, CDPC planned to influence operations designed to incite socio-political tensions among U.S. electorate in the lead up to the 2024 U.S. elections on behalf of the IRGC. Number two, they basically describe a large-scale disinformation campaign by Moscow, including developing a vast ecosystem of Russian proxy websites, fake online personas, and front organizations that give like the false appearance of being independent news sources unconnected to the Russian state. I'm sure we've all seen those fake news sites. One of them actually just came up on my live stream the other night. It was like usaheadlines.com or something like that. Something wild and so obviously like Russian. Number three, they accuse a GRU affiliated entity of using AI to similarly spread misinformation, including the creation and publication of deepfakes and circulated disinformation about candidates in the U.S. 2024 general election. This is where it gets kind of interesting because they accuse them not just of using generative AI tools to quickly create disinformation that's distributed across a massive network of websites designated to imitate legitimate news outlets to create false corroboration between the stories, as well as obfuscate their Russian origin. However, it also accuses them of building a server to host the generative AI tools in order to avoid using foreign web hosting services that would have like blocked what they were doing. And the GRU provided them with a network of US-based facilitators with financial support to help build and maintain the AI support server. Not just to maintain the network of at least 100 websites, but to also contribute to the cost of rent to the apartment where the server was held. So basically, they're saying that they had a bunch of US-based people, operatives that they were working with, who were helping to like cover the costs of this thing and to help maintain and operate these efforts. Another interesting detail included is that CGE also manipulated a video it used to produce baseless accusations concerning a 2024 vice presidential candidate in an effort to sow discord amongst the US electorate. Unclear who that is. Obviously, there's only like two options. I'm curious like what specifically it was. I have an idea, but yeah. And then the rest of it is basically just explaining the sanction implications, basically being like you're cut off from doing all the business. If you do business with these people, like you're going to get in trouble, all this stuff, yada, yada, whatever. Either way, not a peep in the news, which makes sense because again, it is New Year's Eve. I do wonder if that was by design because these accusations are very clearly and specifically about misinformation and disinformation, and they're probably trying to avoid, triggering some sort of panic or, accusations that they necessarily like hacked machines or anything like that. It doesn't seem that there's any evidence that they have suggested exists or anything like that in that realm, okay? But nonetheless, not a small thing. This is still a big deal. Anyway, Happy New Year.